Hello everyone, my name is Mary and I'm one of the Student Wellbeing Advisors based within the Student Wellbeing team, and I'm also joined today by my colleague Angela, who is our Money Advice Coordinator, also based within the Student Wellbeing team at Ulster University. You're very welcome to the seminar today, where we will cover wellbeing and financial support available to students at Ulster University. I'm just going to turn my camera off here so we can focus on the slides. Thank you. So at Student Wellbeing, we can offer support and advice on disabilities, including ASD, mental health conditions such as depression and anxiety, specific learning difficulties such as dyslexia and dyscalculia, support and guidance on general wellbeing such as task and time management, sleep hygiene, and dealing with the breakdown of a relationship, money management and budgeting, and Angela will explore this further later. So we provide a range of supports or recommendations based on your specific needs. For example, exam and assessment support. For example, a student with dyslexia diagnosis could access extra time for exams, class assessments, and a student presenting with anxiety, for instance, may get access to a smaller venue to complete their exam. Teaching and learning supports. A student who presents with a diagnosis of anxiety, for example, could request a reasonable adjustment recommendation is put in place to access PowerPoints and lecture notes prior to lecture. They may also be able to request permission to record their lectures. Library support. Recommendations can be placed with the library, for example, extension to library book borrowing times. Access considerations. A student who has, for example, a hearing impairment can request lectures takes place in an accessible theatre with relevant equipment. Support providers. A student with a diagnosis of mental health or a specific learning difficulty can access a support provider such as a mental health mentor or a dyslexia coach. Assistive technology. A student with a diagnosis of dyslexia, for example, could have access to text-to-speech software, mind mapping software, and hand-reading pens. So in order for all of the additional study needs suggested in the last slide, students will be required to complete a disability student allowance application via Student Finance NI. They can get further details on this via our webpage or via the Student Finance NI's webpage as shown on the slide. Students will be required also to link with one of our accessibility advisors to begin the process of putting in place their reasonable adjustment recommendations. We will guide you to reach out to us over the summer to schedule a prospective student appointment with one of our advisors to begin this process. Mental health and wellbeing. A student wellbeing, I suppose I just want to make sure that any students who do engage with us, it is a confidential space for our students, and it is paramount. We do not disclose anything our students tell us unless we are concerned they are at risk to self or others, and we do not relay any information to academic staff unless our students ask us to. We offer holistic guidance on a range of mental and physical well-being concerns, such as personal academic issues, stress management, settling into university, isolation, anxiety, coping strategies, etc. You will be scheduled to speak with one of our wellbeing assistants who will give you an overview of services that may suit you best, such as our mental health advisor to support students with a mental health diagnosis who may be having some difficulties with situational stressor. We also have access to our student wellbeing advisor who can help with general wellbeing and personal difficulties. We also have PWP who can complete some low-level CPT with our students, and we also have access to counselling via Inspire. If you wish to engage in counselling, you can do so via student wellbeing. I'm going to pass you on to Angela now, our Money Advice Coordinator, to go through some of the financial supports that is available at Ulster University.
Thank you, Mary. As Mary has said, I am one of 3 student money coordinators within student wellbeing, and the Student Money team is there to support students with funding guidance and support for students with financial issues. And these include funding your studies, looking at what funding is available, what you may be eligible to apply for, and where to apply. Living away from home, what do you have to consider when you're deciding to move away from home or live or travel from home every day? Money management, so general money management issues, spending wisely, shopping around, basically trying to make your money go that wee bit further. And budgeting, making sure you're living within your means. We also offer financial support to those students who find themselves in financial difficulties during their studies. So I want to look firstly at the postgraduate funding. Postgraduate funding is slightly different to undergraduate funding in that students from Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland and the EU can apply for help with tuition fees only through Student Finance NI. Just to note that there is no maintenance support available with postgraduate study. So it's really important to make sure that you have the funds to cover your day-to-day living costs that you're going to need whenever you are in full-time study or part-time study. So the maximum tuition fee available through Student Finance NI is $5,500. And this is paid, if you're doing a one-year full-time course, this is paid over the duration of that year, or if you're doing part-time study, it's shared out equally over the 2 years or more that you are studying. If you're not eligible for a part-time or a postgraduate tuition fee loan, you will be responsible for covering the cost of your own fees, for which you will need to set up a payment plan with the fees department to make regular monthly payments. What we have found over the last couple of years is that the tuition fee amount, the 5,500, often doesn't cover the full fees associated with postgraduate courses, and some students may find that there's still a balance to pay even with the 5,500 in order to pay the full amount of fees. Again, this would be done by setting up a payment plan with the tuition fee office. Now you can see that there are some discounts that students can avail of. If you are a previous student at Ulster University and have studied and graduated with an undergraduate degree or any other type of degree, any other postgraduate degree, you may be eligible for an alumni discount of 10% on the cost of your fees. Sometimes this is enough in order to cover the shortfall from the tuition fee loan to cover the actual cost of your fees. If not, then any balance after the 10% has been taken off, you will be responsible for paying. If you have never studied at UU before, there is still a way to get some sort of a discount, and that would be by paying your fees in full before or at registration, and you can then avail of the 5% discount, but that you have to be paying your fees in full before or after registration. If you're setting up a payment plan, then that does not come into play. There are other additional external sources of funding that you may want to look at, and these are available to view on our website. There's a couple of links there that you can have a look at. And as I say, if you go to the ulster.ac.uk website and scroll down and click on student wellbeing, we have all our information on that website, and you can have a look at what other options are out there. For any PhD research students, you may be eligible to apply for a Department for the Economy studentship, but all this will be discussed with your PhD research facility. What we really encourage students to do whenever they are considering coming to uni, and this is for both undergrad and postgrad, it's always about planning ahead, making sure that you are looking at what is available to you, and just to make the transition into study as smooth as possible. So it's really good to have all of this sussed out before you start your course in January or September, whenever that may be. So living away from home is a pretty big move for a lot of people. For some people, they may not have lived away from home before, and it's really about understanding what considerations you have to take in, you have to look at whenever you are deciding what you're going to do. If you do have to live away from home, if your campus is just too far away that traveling there and back every day would just be impossible, then really it's all about the accommodation. So what do you want to look at? Do you want to look at your university accommodation? Are you thinking about private accommodation? Do your research on the costs associated with each one. Weigh up the differences. For example, some university accommodation may include your day-to-day living costs, your bills, that type of thing, Wi-Fi, all of those additional costs that you may have to pay separately for private accommodation. So it's really just about having a look at both, weighing up your options and seeing which is the most cost effective for you and which suits you better. Also, if you're living, sort of midway to campus, it might be worth looking at the cost of travel to and from to see if it's worth your while, not staying away from home and then traveling every day. You've also got to look at, as I said in the previous slide, there's no maintenance support with postgraduate tuition fee loans from student finance. So you will be responsible for your day-to-day living costs. So do you need to work part-time while studying? Are you going to be able to do that? What's your timetable going to be like? Will you have the time to work at the weekends? So again, this is something that you need to consider if you need that money to help pay for your additional costs. Also then, are there any mandatory costs associated with your course? For particular courses, there may be specialized equipment, specialist books, that type of thing. You may have to do some sort of placements, unpaid placements, depending on what you're studying. So again, all of this needs to be thought about before you start your course so that you can make sure that you do have the funds available to help with those costs associated with that. Budgeting. This is what we're all about. It's really, really important to look at your budget and start doing it now. Don't wait till you start uni. Start doing it now. This is where you are going to figure out how much it's going to cost you on a weekly or monthly basis to study at uni. Budgeting is very, very simple. It can be as complex or simple as you want to make it. If you can do a basic spreadsheet, you can do a basic budget. There's loads of free budgeting apps out there as well. So really your budgeting is looking at what you have coming in. So that is money from savings, part-time work, um, family support, anything at all where you have money coming into your bank account. And then you've got to look at the money going out. So this is particularly for your essentials such as rent, bills, food, etc., and any other outgoings associated with your studying, such as travel, etc. You need to make sure that they are counted in your expenditure, along with any other additional outgoings that you have, maybe socializing, that type of thing. And it's really important then to start making regular adjustments to live without overspending. If you find that whenever you're doing your budget that your income is definitely less than your outgoings, then you need to start relooking at your budget and reviewing it and looking at areas where you can start cutting out your spending and cutting back on your spending in order to make sure that you aren't overspending on it every month, because that's when students start to get into trouble then when it comes to money and find themselves getting more and more into their overdrafts, to a point where maybe they are then going into unarranged overdrafts, which then starts to cost money, or they're relying on family support. And overspending, this happening regularly or consistently, can lead to debt, and which in turn badly affects your credit rating. It can also, financial problems can affect your relationships and your physical and mental health. So it's really important to keep your budget, keep reviewing it, whatever works for you, monthly, weekly. Keep checking your online banking app to make sure that you're tracking your transactions. Make sure that you're aware of what you are spending and how much you do have. Set yourself a budget every week for your non-essentials, eating out, socializing, that type of thing. Set yourself a budget that you can afford, and again, review that on a weekly, monthly basis just to make sure that you aren't getting into any type of debt. Okay, so just a quick recap on all things money. So don't forget that UK, ROI and EU students can apply for the postgraduate tuition fee loan. If you haven't already done so, I really strongly urge you to do it sooner rather than later, especially if you are planning to start your course in January 2022. It's really important to get that applied for now. If you're not eligible for a postgraduate tuition fee loan, maybe you've already applied for one previously, you will need to set up a payment plan with the fees office. Again, that can be done online or you can contact them directly. Don't forget that there's no maintenance support available. Make sure you do have sufficient funds to cover your day-to-day living costs. I'm harking back now to your budget. Start working out now what your finances are, how much money you're going to have when you start your course, how much money is it going to take for you to do your course, including all your essential outgoings such as your rent and food and bills and everything. Make sure they're all included. Are there any additional mandatory costs associated with your course? This will be on the prospectus. If there are any additional costs associated, particularly that are specific to your course. If you're unsure, you can contact your faculty office and they will be able to let you know if there are any, or any of your lecturers or your course director, and they'll let you know if there are any specific things that need to be, that you need to have in order to do this course. And then don't forget about the discounts that are available. If you've previously studied at UU and graduated, you could be eligible for the alumni discount on the cost of fees. And if you are paying your fees in full before or at registration, you may be able to avail of the 5% discount on the cost of fees. Just a quick note, you can't avail of both. You either get the 10% if you're alumni or you get the 5% if you're not. You can't have 15% off your fees. I know sometimes that has come up, but no, it's one or the other. So thank you all very much for tuning into our recording today. These are our contact details. We are available on all 4 campuses. As Mary has said at the start of this, myself and Mary are both based in the McGee campus. We have wellbeing advisors and student money coordinators on all 4 campuses. We have a dedicated phone line and email address that is always responding. There's always somebody responding to emails and calls. So please feel free to get in contact with Student Wellbeing either prior to you starting your course or whenever you get started in your studies, you can contact us. We also have the Student Wellbeing out of hours numbers there for Inspire and Lifeline. That's for the times when you need to talk to somebody and our office is not open. So it's really important to take those numbers down as well and have them handy. So I want to thank everybody, and if anybody has any queries or any questions about anything that has been covered in this seminar today, please do get in contact with us on either that telephone number or email, and we will be more than happy to get back to you as soon as possible. So on behalf of myself and Mary and the whole wider student wellbeing team, we just want to wish you the best of luck with your studies.